Getting his wish of a mostly clear sky, Jules wakes up to the now routine growling of his stomach and the cutting chill of the autumn morning. Unable to spend any more time not actively fighting towards food, Jules sets off from the radio station and back into the horrors outside his walls. Once again turning down the rural road he had cleared previously, he hopes that making progress will go smoothly, but finds that the surrounding woods leaks seemingly endless undead. Not even making it to the first intersection before he begins to feel fatigued, Jules' will to push forward is washed away as he aimlessly retreats from the endless bloodshed. Without a real plan, he stumbles upon the road that leads to his station, and decides to explore it back to the main road. Though he cannot get a vehicle of the service road yet, he hopes that scouting might provide an alternate source of food. Just outside the perimeter fence, Jules spots a fresh corpse being feasted on by a handful of the undead. They couldn't have been dead for more than a day, and had only been an hour's walk from the safety of the hilltop. Knowing that they would have been another mouth to feed, Jules is almost thankful they hadn't made it to his home, but the discovery exposes Jules to the bitterness he had brewed for people following the events at the country club. Reaching the main road after a lengthy walk, and as the sun hangs low in the sky, Jules isn't surprised to find the undead shambling along the asphalt, but decides to explore a bit further through the fields in hopes of finding anything for his efforts. Empty-handed and losing the light, Jules turns to head back up the winding road, mulling over the fact that another day had been wasted without discovering more food. Staving off starvation by rationing his actual food and the insects he can find in the woods, Jules knows that tomorrow will be another slaughter in the pursuit of calories. Crafting a handful of crude spears, Jules sets out from his home with a cold determination in his heart. Finding the undead he had fled from yesterday now plagued the main road, he aims to forge a new path, while avoiding damaging his already precarious vehicle. Knowing that a handful of houses lie on the other side of the open farmland, Jules decides that fighting through the hordes out in the open is safer than picking off stragglers on the claustrophobic roads of the rural woods. Fighting all day to reach a garage late into the afternoon, Jules feels the slightest bit of hope, but knows that the house was his ultimate goal, and it was still guarded by the hounds of hell. Fingers numb and arm aching, he begins the arduous process of clearing the undead from the farm, but sees no end in sight as more and more corpses litter the ground. Concerned about the undead he was slowly leading back to his home, Jules is too tired to deal with the threat now, but adds the encroaching doom to the growing list of agony that was his life. Waking up shivering, Jules eats one of his last 2 cans of food and knows that he must reach the farmhouse today, even if it kills him. Weak hands clumsy with crude spears, Jules takes on more than he's used to, as desperation is his sole drive. Falling back on his bent and battered crowbar after the horde nearly takes his life, Jules finds himself on the verge of breaking down before he's even made progress towards the house. Finally making it inside, Jules' mental fortitude is in no state to handle the slim amount of food he can find, feeling utterly gutted and hollow as he robotically checks the home and strikes back out towards his car. Today was the closest call yet since the country club, nearly taken down by a group of those mindless monsters, all for a box of cereal and a can of oats. Never have I been so safe and so terrified at the same time. Having this radio station to retreat back to is both a blessing and a curse. Being isolated here, knowing that the undead would never pierce the thick veil of trees, makes me never want to leave my comfort. Is my fate to waste away up here and die a slow and miserable death? Or am I going to be swallowed whole by those creatures that now dominate our world? Their world. Only time will tell. Jules. Checking his injury in the morning, Jules is pleased to see it healed, but finds his body noticeably thinner and caked in blood and grime. Unable to face the disappointment of looting another home, he instead focuses on the more immediate threat of the encroaching undead on his road. Needing a break from bloodshed, the ragged survivor replaces his torn clothes with what he scavenged from the dead, and sets to work on mundane tasks that he longed were his only concern. Waking up to another cold and dreary rain, Jules feels almost nothing as he pointlessly shifts around his room and prepares for another day away from home. feel as though this entry is necessary, since a growing and stubborn doom is beginning to grow in my heart. Every morning I wake up fearing it will be my last, and I don't want the records of my life and those I've known to be forgotten. For posterity's sake, here are the accounts of what occurred following the outbreak. I, Jules Wade, fled the school in Riverside after I recognized the refugee center there was going to collapse. In my pursuit of seeking out the safest location to survive, I found myself making my way to the country club. That's where I first met Marcus. Marcus Conway was the groundskeeper for the country club and discovered me wandering around the course in an attempt to find the main building. He took me in, no questions asked. When we arrived, I met Mr. and Mrs. Martin, Greg and Kathy to be precise. I liked Greg. He was a farmer from the center of the county and could easily be described as one of those hard-working gentlemen that you knew wouldn't stop working until he dropped dead. Also, he was quiet, which I prefer. His wife, Kathy, was far less composed. She constantly worried about her daughter in Louisville, understandably. Last, and certainly least, was Kevin. Kevin was Marcus's brother, and he had come to find him at the country club when the outbreak started to run rampant. I don't know the full extent of his life, but he was very proud of his 20-year sentence in the Rosewood Correctional Facility. He never went into details of his crimes. Kevin was loud, rough, violent, rude, agitated. Everything his brother wasn't. Though they were brothers, no two personalities could have stood in harsher contrast with one another. My hand is growing tired, so I shall try to conclude. Most importantly, Marcus is the reason that I'm here today, having saved me from one of the infected early on and suffering a bite to his chest in the process. Though it allowed me to live, I hate him for it. All I can think about is how differently things would have turned out if he had simply let me die. If Kevin hadn't rightfully blamed me for his death, maybe the Martins would still be alive. If I do perish in these coming days, I wanted to make sure I recorded the selflessness of Marcus Conway, a good man with a good heart who saved a coward who might end up starving anyway. Now at least my guilt won't die with me, being immortalized on these pages. Jules.